Hello, everyone. I want to talk to you for a few minutes today about the report. I know that you really need clarification, and since it is worth 35% of your grade, I do want to get some information or some additional information out there for you as soon as possible, and this is about as good as I could do. So anyway, the report is worth 35%, and this is just the paper. It's not including any of the homework that you do for the paper, but it's just the paper. And so that means that you need to work the process, you need to work through the process in order to have a really good product. That's how it works. Okay, the more time that you spend on something, the better it is, right? The better it is. So you want to spend as much time as you possibly can creating this draft and then revising it and then, editing it and then finally submitting the final. It's somewhere, in June, towards the end of June. And then we'll have our other paper to write. Okay, so about the report. The number one thing that you can do to really help yourself is to read the reporting information chapter. Yes, I know sounds very boring, but it will help you a lot. For instance, there are samples in the book. The very first essay, I didn't mean to mess up my screen. Sorry about that. I put the book on the laptop. Okay, the very first essay that you read is called, Does Texting Affect Writing? This is a report. This is a report. This is what a report looks like. And it was written by a college student who was in an English 111 composition class just like you. It is very good, okay, and you will notice that it uses research, and it uses really good research. And so when you're reading the assignment and you read the part about research, the research that is used in like an academic paper is not just what you find like the first time you do a search in Google. I would suggest that you go to NC Live, which is the collection of databases that we have on our library website. You can go to it from Moodle, from your Moodle course, and I think from the homepage too. And so start searching there instead of going immediately to Google. And I'm not saying that you can't find some good sources on Google, but you really have to look. You really, really have to look. Okay, so
your daily reminder to
read,
adhere to new
Does
safety
Texting
protocols.
Affect Writing?
Please ensure to
And
disinfect
look
your
at the
personal areas
annotations,
with the provided
because the
sanitization
annotations
products. This
are going,
is your
I hope
daily
you can't
reminder
hear that,
to
but I'm
adhere
sure you
to new
probably
safety
can. I'll
protocols.
just wait. Every day at 10 and 3, we have the safety protocol thing to remind us to clean our workstation, wash our hands, and that kind of thing, which is really good. Okay, so to go back to the texting article or report, if you look at the annotations, they will note the basic features and what is happening in every section. This is really important because you can look to see how the essay is constructed. Reading an essay, not just for the content, but for how it's put together, is very important. It's just like if you were planting a flower bed, okay, and you had never planted a flower bed before, and your grandmother has some beautiful ones. So you would go look at hers and you could talk to her and say, Grandma, how do you do this? And you could maybe write down a little, I don't know, like a little schematic, like a little diagram. She's got daisies here and pansies here and this here and that there, whatever. Okay, well, it's basically what you do when you're looking at an essay to figure out how it's done. So look at the annotations. And also look at the length. I know that 4 to 6 pages may seem like a lot to you, but it's really not. 4 pages is really not a lot at all. And this is why, too, because of the shortness of the essay, that you really need to focus. Because if you ramble from one part of the topic, from one large area to another, you're not going to be able to develop any ideas very well. So that's why you've got to focus. Okay, so moving right along, the next essay is called Edible Magic, and it's one that I really recommend. It is awesome, and it is also written by a college freshman. Just, it happens to be a college freshman from MIT. So it's wonderful. This is a wonderful, wonderful report, and the question that the student is asking is, how does popcorn pop? How does popcorn pop? And just look at the way that the student does this. She starts out very creatively. She doesn't start out with, what is popcorn popping? Or how do you pop popcorn, or something like that. I mean, she starts creatively, so give it a whirl, read it, and just look at some of the techniques, some of the strategies that are used to develop the answer to this question. Okay, so this is another key point. You're answering a question that you cannot answer right now. Okay, I could not tell you how popcorn pops. I have no clue, but I do learn from reading the essay. So you want to choose something that you don't already know. And so this question is called a research question. It's called a research question, and your thesis is going to be the answer to that. And so in Edible Magic, look for the one sentence that you think is the main point or the answer to the question about how popcorn pops. Okay, so anyway, that's how you come up with your thesis. A thesis is an answer that you don't know. Writing an essay about things that you already know really is kind of ridiculous. Like, why would you do that? You're writing the essay to educate other people, but also yourself. And the report is not supposed to be boring. It's not supposed to be like totally information from sources without any of your, putting the ideas together. No, you are using the research to come up with your own way of communicating the topic, if that makes any sense. Okay, so now moving through the chapter just a little bit. If you get to page 146, you're going to find the basic features of the report. Okay, the basic features of the report are key. That means that these features need to be found in your paper, and if they're not there, it means that your paper may be something other than a report. Okay, a report is a type of writing, and a particular type of writing is called a genre. It's just like the way that it's classified or categorized. So the genre of informational reporting or the report has these features. Okay, it has a tightly focused topic, it has accurate, well-researched information, a synthesis of ideas, which means, okay, you read all these different sources and you think about all these different things and you draw a conclusion, and then you use the pieces of evidence that are going to help you to support the conclusion that you've drawn. And that conclusion is the answer to your research question. Are you still with me? Okay, various writing strategies. Okay, reports and really any kind of writing are built on writing strategies such as description which is describing what something is, or cause and effect. What caused this to happen? What are the effects of it? Or let's see, story or narrative. For instance, like if you interview someone or if you read someone's experience, like for instance, like at one of the protests, then if you tell their story, then that's using narrative. Or let's see, you might use definition. You might define some term that, your readers need to understand. So those are strategies. Those are writing strategies, and there are many, many more that you can read about in your book. But basically what they are ways to develop ideas. They're just tools. That's all they are. They are ways to develop ideas. Okay, and then clear definitions, appropriate design. Okay, the big thing that I would worry about with design would be just simply maintaining like an essay type format. If you want to put an image somewhere in your paper, that would be great, but make sure that it goes in the area that you're placing it. Make sure that it's explained adequately so readers can understand why you chose to put it there. And also too, like images or figures, they require special documentation. And you may need help with that, and so feel free to contact me. But that will be a little bit later in your process and not now. Okay, so after the basic features, then you get to this section, and it is called A Guide to Writing Reports. Oh my goodness, how wonderful. So this means that you actually have a process, or you could call it a recipe. You have a recipe for writing the paper. It is very loose. It is not exact, but it walks you through the steps. Okay, and there is a choosing a topic area, but if you look on your assignment sheet, sorry, I think I closed my Zoom screen. I did. I'm back. Sorry about that. Anytime I get near the keyboard, I mess it up. Okay, so from the course, I'm holding this up. I'm not going to share screens or anything, but it's a good idea to print out the assignment and process so that you can really spend some time studying it, read it over several times so you can understand what it is you're trying to do. And very important. Very important. Okay, when it comes to topic selection, some of these things that are included in your book are not a part of the topics that you can select. Okay, I've asked you very specifically a current, local, state, national, or world problem such as COVID-19. And then there are a lot of different areas within COVID-19. Okay, you don't have to select COVID-19, that's just an example. But like I mentioned earlier, if you want to, inform us about the protests that are happening all over the country because of the murder of Mr. Floyd, you can do that. If you're interested in global warming or, I don't know, unemployment, due to COVID-19 and being quarantined, whatever your problem is, but it needs to be something, that we can all relate to, and not something just sort of, I don't know, just like really personal. Like for instance, you love zebras, and so you want to write about zebras. So think about the audience, think about what they need to know, what they might be interested in, And of course, you want to be interested in it too, but this is not just for you. This is for other people too. And so it has a larger purpose. Okay, it has a larger purpose. Okay, and there are a lot of COVID-19 ideas here, but basically a current local, state, national, or global problem. So that cuts out a lot of things. But also it opens up many things. But I want you to explore something that's going on in the world or locally or state-wise. There are a lot of controversies right now. You're not arguing, though, you're simply informing. You're not arguing, should we wear masks? Should we not wear masks? Should we social distance or not? You're simply informing, like, I don't know, like, what do the experts say about wearing masks? Why are we social distancing? According to the experts, I mean, it's not your opinion at all. This is what the experts are saying. This is what the experts are saying. Got it? All right. Okay. So, you know about the Norton Field Guide. All right. This is in the assignment too. The paper does need to be 4 to 6 double-spaced pages of text. Okay, your cover page, APA requires a cover page, so that is an additional page. And then your references page is yet another page. So sandwiched in between, you've got 4 pages of text. Okay, and if you have an abstract, which I am not requiring, okay, that would be another page. Okay, so your 4 pages of text do not include an abstract. An abstract is short, it's very concise, it's very to the point. It does not take up any of your paper. Okay, and as for the draft, excuse me, try to make it 4 pages long so I have enough to read so I can give you some good feedback. So you can do, just a wonderful job. So the more I have, the more I'll be able to respond. If you submit a 2 to 3 page draft, it's much more difficult for me to offer advice because there's just not that much there. Okay, so anyway, to go back to the guide to writing, it takes you through considering the rhetorical situation, which is basically the audience and purpose and your stance. It takes you through that. It takes you through generating ideas, which is brainstorming, narrowing your topic, coming up with a thesis statement, which is definitely, it can be a challenge, but in your draft, it's not perfect. It's just, it's your first version of your thesis. And then research, and then how to organize it. So anyway, and then you go to drafting, getting response and revising, and then finally editing and proofreading. So your process is all there. The most helpful things that will happen, or that will help you really, will be getting feedback from your classmates and getting feedback from me. So more on that later, but I don't want to make this too long, so I'm going to stop now, and you can ask questions, you can email me, you can call me on the phone, and we can continue doing this. I'm going to stop now. Take care.